Players know that each and every time Wizards of the Coast prints a new set, there is a chance it's going to break a card on the reserve list. Hi everyone and welcome back. MTG Moxman here. Another day, another dollar, right? When it comes to reprintings of new sets, when you get Dominaria United, Streets of New Capenna, hey, we got Kamigawa, the Neon Dynasty. Every time a new set drops, there are people out there looking at the reserve list and seeing which cards interact, which cards become broken. Sometimes it happens because Wizards isn't paying attention. Other times it's a complete accident. They just missed it. Some cool combination comes together and you get a new, very expensive reserve list card. But that doesn't happen very often anymore. Okay? It's been years since we've seen a real breakthrough on some strange card on the reserve list. But Dominaria United did give us a few spikes in the Griffin range, right? A few little moments. I like it. I like it when it happens like that. It gets people excited and it gets new players looking at the reserve list. So we're going to take a look at some cards today. They're all very cheap, very inexpensive. So players who say they can't afford these cards, yeah, I'm calling you on that one because it's totally affordable depending on what you're after. And some of these cards can lead to a lot of fun because not everything has to be a giant breakthrough moment. Sometimes you just need a crack to cause a ripple on a card to make things happen. Let's have some fun with it. Let's get down to this video. And you know what? If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, support the channel. If you're buying any of the cards in the video today, please use my TCG affiliate player link. You can find it in the description of all of my videos. And I'm looking forward to reading your comments later. Guys, let's have a good time. So guys, we're starting things off with Urborg Stalker. That's right, this card costs $1.70 US. I know, $2 here in Canada. We're talking serious money. Now, the artwork's amazing. This card's from Weatherlight. When you take a look, it is 1 black, 3 other. It is a 2/4, which is definitely a vanilla, pretty weak card. But during each player's upkeep, you like that for Commander? If that player controls any non-black permanents other than lands, Urborg Stalker does 1 damage to that player. There's a reason I'm mentioning this card. The more we're getting cards like Shieldred the Apocalypse, which gets mentioned a lot in today's video, there are combination cards that will fit with this to do multiple bits of damage, little pecking of damage, but so many opponents can be hit that it really will beef up your Commander deck, make it a target, make them deal with it in different ways. And at this price level, the ability to do damage to everybody in the play group can make it a really effective card when you combine it with other cards that do damage to each and every player. It can become a redundant thing till eventually everyone's taking 3, 4, 5 damage. It's an awesome time. Now the next card I want to share with you guys, kind of fun. We go here and we take a look at Inner Sanctum, again from Weatherlight. This card went up as high as $15, $20, and now it's all the way down to $3. When you take a look at this card, it is 2 white, 1 other. It has a cumulative upkeep of 2 life, but all damage dealt to creatures you control is reduced to 0. Remember that. All of your creatures, which means you go into combat, anyone blocking your creatures, your stuff's not dying, theirs is. It is coming at a cost. But if you decide not to pay that upkeep, of course it gets discarded. Are you telling me you can't think of a way, or 10, of bringing this card back from your graveyard and recasting it the very next turn? After this is all done? It's amazing, guys. I've seen it done. I've used it myself. There are lots. I use a Skull of Orm. There's lots of ways of bringing enchantments back nowadays or unsummoning them so you can avoid paying cumulative upkeep. Wizards has made it pretty simple. So think of things like Bubble Matrix, which would say, oh, all creatures. But in this case, we're talking just your creatures, right? To the creatures you control. That is a very effective deterrent to have people block your stuff, knowing theirs will die, yours won't, regardless of what they do. I love this stuff. Great card for $3. Amazing. So underpriced. Now, Tithe. This card, guys, was like $100. I hate to even mention it because it's such a good deal. $27, okay, for Tithe from Visions. When you take a look at Tithe, take a closer look. It's 1 white, and it's an instant. Search your library for a Plains card. If you control fewer lands than target opponent, you may search your library for an additional Plains card. Reveal those cards to all players, then put it into your hand. Shuffle your library afterwards. You choose the opponent. Tell me that doesn't scream Commander, and it's so cheap right now. I mean, how are people not buying this card? I don't know, which is why I'm mentioning it. this card will spike up again. It's going to go places, and you guys need to be aware of it because it's a card I've been watching. I love the fact it keeps trending down because it makes it so affordable for players to add to a commander deck at a bargain basement price. So when it does spike up, you're not getting killed by it because it's going to go up to $100 again, no problem. Now our next card is Guiding Spirit. An interesting card most people forget about. It's $3. It's not very expensive. 1 white, 1 blue, 1 other. Flying. If the top card of target player's graveyard is a creature, put that card on top of that target player's library. Now, there are lots of reasons to use this card. Number one, they may have a creature that takes a lot to cast. You're going to tie up their mana. They may, you want to tie up their, you have a way of dealing with a creature and you want them to keep drawing that same creature over and over and over again. I like that ability too. I mean, we used to use this thing with a Royal Assassin and an Icy. So you'd make them put the creature, they'd cast it, you tap it, you kill it, and you put it back up again. And by the way, you notice it doesn't take any type of mana to tie up to use the ability, which is nice. But also, in a commander game, you may want a creature that got killed to come back, okay? Because it does say target player, which means you as well. You may want your Sheoldred to come back in a multicolored deck. You may want your opponent to get a creature back to keep them alive, to keep them around another round alive. And with white, blue, things like Teferi, all these color combinations you can use, this card will be very effective and very inexpensive, by the way. And it also has flying, so it can be a little bit of a blocker for you when you need it. It's got a multi-dual effect for $3. Crazy. All right, Unfulfilled Desires. Now, this screams Sheoldred the Apocalypse, okay? It just does. This card's, this card was up to like, I think $30, $35 US. It's all the way back down to like, what, $10, $11? Pay 1 life, draw a card, and then choose and discard a card. So you're going to draw a card, but you're going to lose a life, but then gain 2 life with Sheoldred, okay? So you're going to gain life and get to keep the card you want to keep, and then discard the one you don't care about. That's amazing, okay? That screams usage. And by the way, you notice you can do this anytime. Your opponent's coming to get you, you need to mill for the certain card, or you're taking massive amounts of damage and you'll just mill through your deck to keep yourself alive. Wow. You put this with something like Soldevi Digger, and you can actually recycle your library and keep doing it and basically have infinite life, as long as your mana's high enough, I guess. But anyway, you see what I'm saying. There are ways of making combinations like this work, and this card costs nothing now. It's a couple of bucks. Love it. $10 bill is not a lot to pay for this card, and you don't have to buy near mint. You just need to get a place or even one for a commander deck. Love this stuff. Great card. Now, the next card, Shallow Grave. This one's a little more expensive, I admit, than $35, but it trended down. And the reason I like it is because, again, bringing back those particular creature cards you need to keep alive in a commander deck are very important, and this has instant speed. Put the top creature card from your graveyard into play as though it were just played. That creature is unaffected by summoning sickness. Remove that creature at the end from the game at the end of turn, right? So you get to put it right back into play. Imagine you milled out a big creature, okay? Now it doesn't have summoning sickness. Some giant creature you want to have in play. You can see what I'm saying, right? You could pick a big dragon from D&D, one of the big giant ancient worms. There are reasons to have this kind of thing to bring your creatures back when you really need them. Not to mention it's instant. You can bring it back as a blocker and just maul somebody's creature when they don't expect it to come back. Guys, it's a great price, okay? It's going to be a $100, $200 card eventually, so enjoy this card while it's cheap. Now the next card, Royal Decree. Some friends tried to make fun of me using this card, but my enchantment deck had a lot of fun with them. When you take a closer look at this $3 card, it is 2 white, 2 other, which fits perfect in my enchantment deck. Cumulative upkeep of 1 white. I just let it go and I recycle it, by the way. Whenever a swamp, mountain, black permanent, or red permanent becomes tapped, Royal Decree does 1 damage to that permanent's controller. Needless to say, a lot of people died very quickly, okay? Because it just, they had to keep tapping things, they had to keep drawing things. It was hilarious. Trying to tap your mountains, take some damage. You're going to attack with that goblin, take some more damage. Because they're tapping to declare their attack and they're already taking the damage. And because it affects more than one, it's black and it's going to be mountain, that you can really get things going there. I love this card. And although it does cost a little bit of mana, I don't even pay the upkeep. I just recast it or unsummon it and recast it. There's lots of ways of doing it, guys. You just got to be a little creative, and people never see it coming. It's $3. Crazy stuff. And cards like this are never coming around again. Wizards does not like particular colors being affected this way, and this one's a multicolor effect spell, so it's definitely never coming back. Okay, our next one is Ritual of the Machine. Guys, it's you know, it's spiked up and down, but it's still at a pretty good price point right now. Sacrifice a creature to gain control of a target non-black, non-artifact creature. So I use that red one, whatever that, I took control of somebody's creature temporarily. Then I sacrificed it after I attacked with it, and then took control of their bigger creature that they didn't block with. This just screams fun all the time. And again, at the price point of like $16 US, it's a very inexpensive card. This card, again, this was like a $30, $35 card. It's like half the price right now. It's just something to pay attention to, because cards like this, they are going to have use in Commander basically in perpetuity, forever. So pay attention to it, guys. This is good stuff. Next card, Braingeyser. Now, I'm going to mention this card because I used it on the weekend using, I was trying a Commander deck out. So I used blue, black. I had Shieldred out. Earlier on, I made somebody draw some cards. They took 8 damage. I was just testing something out. I got slapped with an angel in my face for 15, and it hurt a lot. There's another card, like I had all kinds of cards that draw cards. I used a common card called Prosperity, where all the opponents draw cards and you draw cards too. So I was gaining life when I drew cards, but I made them draw 20 a little bit later in the game. But when you have cards like this that say target player, I can pick anybody and I can maul those people. And that's what I'm talking about. Late in the game, you draw 30. I'll fork it to you, I fork it to you. Whatever you want combinations. There's blue copy spells and stuff too. It's hilarious. Cards like this get a new breath of life because it's target player, target opponent. I could draw cards and gain 2 life for every card drawn using something like Shieldred. These combinations are going to happen. You need to be aware of them, because if these cards spike because of it, you may be in a good position if you've grabbed a couple. Especially if you don't have any and you want them. All right, the last card, Kudzu. I did something with this card that I'd like to talk about. I tried this card out with Sarah Paragon. So what happened was, every time it says, Kudzu says 2 green, 1 other. I had a green-white deck. Whenever target land becomes tapped, it is destroyed. Unless that was the last land in play. Kudzu is not discarded. Instead, that player, anyway, goes over to their land. So I was recasting my lands using Sarah Paragon. So whenever people put the Kudzu on, I tap it, destroy it, goes back to them, but I would recast my land. So eventually they had no lands and I had lands because Sarah Paragon kept letting me go back and get my lands. So it was very fun. I had a great time with it. It was very enjoyable. I smiled a lot. And it worked, only because they didn't expect it. So cards like that can be really janky, really fun. And let's face it, look how inexpensive the card is, guys. You build a deck around regenerating your land or having more lands than your opponent, or opponents, depending on how you want to play it. This can just be so much fun. And all of this happens because a new set comes out that causes some cards like Sarah Paragon, like Shieldred, to have multi-uses inside Commander games, Vintage Legacy games, whatever you want to play. Kitchen table Magic. It can be a blast to explore the new opportunities that these cards give you when a new set comes out. So let me know what you guys think. I loved playing with some of these cards this week and trying things out. It was hilarious when, you know, everyone died. Anyway, my Commander game I was trying out. I'll show you guys some of these decks I'm working on at some point. I got slaughtered in the second game because they knew what my deck could do. So I didn't play it the third game. Anyway, thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with me. And you guys have an awesome day wherever you are in the world of Magic. Love that reserve list. Hold the line, people. Hold the line. And of course that shout out goes out. What would I be without my patrons? I'd be a lonely guy talking about Magic cards by myself in the back room with a cardboard box of pizza. Patrons rock, guys. Don't you forget it. I know. I try funny stuff and it worked. Works so good. You guys are here at the end. You can put Kudzu, because it was fun to use, inside. And yeah, I had a lot of like mana-based stuff to keep my stuff going. It was hilarious to recast it with Sarah Paragon mid-game. And then bring Kudzu out. Wait for them to destroy the thing, and then I would unsummon the Kudzu, and I would relay it out on their land again. It was awesome. It was brutal, but it was awesome. Awesome. I couldn't help it. Kudzu.